All right, now 5:38, President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, headed up by billionaire Elon Musk, now has access to Treasury's highly sensitive payment system. So it includes a vast amount of data, including bank account information and the Social Security numbers of every American taxpayer. It also is used to be able to distribute trillions of dollars in Social Security and Medicare benefits, as well as government contracts and tax refunds. Some Democrats now have expressed concerns over the access to this private information, saying that they're concerned about Musk and the department's intentions. So let's bring in Khalif Rhodes to be able to talk about this. Khalif, there's so much really to discuss in this conversation. Really, because as I just laid out, this type of sensitive information is for everybody. So let's talk about how we got here, and then also if Elon Musk and his team, are they allowed access to this data?
How did we get here? To DOGE, the coin, or DOGE, the agency? Or I'm confused, right? Start at the very beginning, how we get here. I can break it down for you. President Obama started this organization in 2014. It wasn't called DOGE. It was called the United States Digital Services.
Okay.
And it was a way for the government agencies to find out ways that they can implement government organizations with technology, because government moves at this, glacier pace, snail's pace. What Trump did with his executive order was take that organization and change the title, and he gave it another name, obviously DOGE, and they're attempting to go after and find ways that you can, implement and cut on government spending, and this is what they're attempting to do. Now, there's been a lot of challenges to the legality of it, not the creation, but the implementation. I think the president is clear within his ability to create an organization that falls under the executive branch and have them go and do a number of things. But some of them things that they're doing, I think, fall outside of what he created and kind of are leaning more towards the agency of an advisory agency. And if that's the case, we already have laws in place for how advisory agencies can go in and it can interact. And so how we got here is a number of executive orders, two presidents created executive orders, two organizations that now have become one and doing totally different than what Obama anticipated it to be.
Okay, what about the access to the information? When we talk about Social Security numbers, we talk about sensitive information, all the things that I listed out. Any insight for that?
I'd say that I think that they'd have a limitation to being able to have access to any of those things. Any other advisory agency wouldn't have access to that. They would be advising. They'd have a period where they could communicate with an agency, and then they would have an opportunity for that agency to give feedback, but they wouldn't have access to this information of personal information of employees. They wouldn't have access to shut down government access to employees that work for the government agencies to get access to their, everyday job. They also wouldn't have authority to say these individual agencies are going to be closed or dismantled. So those typically are not the things that these type of advisory groups do. So I think if you're saying that would they normally have access to your personal information, they normally shouldn't.
Okay, I got to get this question in because a lot of people want to know. So is Musk or his team legally able to block any of these payments, given that the money is now approved by Congress?
I doubt it. I highly doubt it. And I think that's what Senator Warren is saying. This money has already been allocated. And I've said this oftentimes on this show since these agencies have been implemented. You got to remember that the holder of the purse, the keeper of the purse is Congress. That's who allocates funds. That's who allocates resources. And so you open up Pandora's box when you're saying, well, if Congress is the one that cuts the check, they've allocated where these resources go to, then can the president unilaterally say, you know what, I don't want those funds to go. Even funds that have already been sent out or dispersed or allocated, those are the types of things that's why we have a separation of power. And so I think the long answer is no, they don't have, or short answer I should say is no, they don't have that.
Right, I just want to ask you too, any surprises as you were doing research on this that just really stuck out to you?
I won't say surprise. I anticipated that they would go through and clean house in a number of ways. I just thought that it would take a little bit longer.
Okay.
This is now going to open up more money for the government to spend because the legal challenges will mount.
So much to discuss. Khalif Rhodes, we appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.